The original double-edged razor was invented in 1904 by King Camp Gillette of the Gillette Company, obviously, and his assistant William Nickerson. Gillette invented the razor. William Nickerson is the one who invented the blade. Both of these are some of the greatest industrial design achievements in modern history. The double-edged razor and the double-edged blade. There have been billions of these blades sold over the last century, and probably, certainly millions of this double-edged razor design that have been sold and used around the world, pretty much in every country of the world today. When we're looking at the double-edged razor, this one in particular is one of my favorites, probably the standard shaving tool in the United States today. Certainly one of the standard tools in method shaving. It's the one I teach, the one I've written on, the one that most people are very familiar with when they get into the subject of double-edged shaving. It's what I call the 1904 steel case, short grip, double-edged razor. It's based on the 1904 model. It's not a whole lot different. It's got a nice weight. This particular razor comes out of Germany. It's built by Merkur. I want to just show you here how this razor is put together and how it should be loaded with a blade. What you want to do is when you load your razor, you want to make sure that you hold the blade, to release the razor to load it. You want to hold it on what I call the end caps. If you can see this here, you've got a flat surface here, a flat one here, and you want to put your index finger and thumb on these two ends, and you want to release this nut at the back, and you'll feel it will release the plate on the top, which we call the cap, and you pull that right off. Set your razor down, take your double-edged blade. This is a universal design. You notice it's got a groove center, and what you'll do is you're just going to place that blade right on that cap, and you're going to take your razor, your grip, and you're going to go on ahead and you're going to pressurize, push the cap against the base plate, and you're going to tighten it down. Now the razor is loaded. As we look at the top of the razor, you'll notice your cap. You'll notice this apparatus that extends here, which is called a safety bar. I like to call it a blade gap aperture because it gaps the blade away from the skin. In between the cap and the safety bar, you see the actual blade projecting. If you can't see it, it's basically extruding out from the lower part of the cap against the just above and short of the end of the safety bar. And when you hold your razor for use, there are two basic grip positions I've developed. One is what I call the dart position. Imagine that your cap is the feather, the feather cluster on a dart that you're going to throw against the dart board, and you hold it 1, 2, 3. Thumb, index finger, middle finger at the end. You want to keep your fingers away from the blade. So as far down at the end as you can. It's like you're fretting a guitar or an instrument or a flute or whatever you're playing, and you're gonna use that grip for the north-south and the upper transverse. The north-south in method shaving is called the first form line, the first form pattern. Then we have the second form, upper transverse to the inside. You will use that, the dart position grip on your razor for those two forms. To execute the third form, counterline to the center, okay? You will hold the razor like a soup spoon. Holding the razor like this, just simply take your hand like you're going to shake, and you just put your thumb, index finger here, just like you're going to eat soup. And you're in a perfect grip position for cutting to the inside. I want to go back for a moment and talk about the safety bar and how this apparatus affects the use of the razor in the context of traditional brush shaving and method shaving. Let's talk about traditional brush shaving for a moment. If you're using a potted cream and a brush, the technique for using a double-edged razor is very simple. As you're bringing the razor down, you want to keep the razor grip parallel with the skin line. Now, when you get on the shaving blogs, the various wet shaving blogs, they tell you to do this, and this is absolutely correct. you want to keep that grip parallel with the skin line. And this is, when you're shaving, this is the standard technique for traditional brush shaving. You do not want to pull the grip away from the skin. That is called a pitch. And that is what I developed in method shaving. It's this technique called the 3/4 pitch. And the pitch is when you roll the blade into the skin. And this is a fundamental technique for method shaving that you should not use it in traditional brush because you can get hurt doing it. What we're doing by pitching the blade is we're rolling it forward against the epidermis where the actual blade comes in contact with the skin. By keeping the grip parallel with the skin line, what you're in effect doing is you're allowing the safety bar to gap the blade. So the bar sits on the face and the blade is just above the bar itself. It's about a 1/16 of an inch wide bar. So as you're shaving, as you're bringing this razor down, you're keeping that blade, you're letting that safety bar gap the blade just above the skin. In method shaving, we don't do that. In method shaving, we actually pull the grip back and we roll the blade forward to trench it into the skin, and you pull down that way. You cannot trench the blade, you cannot do a pitching technique, you cannot perform a pitching technique with traditional mix because it is not blended, it's not a water-based media. It will not allow you to roll that blade forward into the epidermal bed. And there are several reasons for that, which I will not cover right now, but just to stress the fact, you do not want to do that. The composition of traditional shaving brush media will not allow you to do it. It's too oily, it's too drying, and it has a tendency to tighten the epidermis and make it unresponsive or unable to accept the presence of a steel blade pressed up against it. By allowing, in method shaving though, by allowing the razor to be rolled forward in this fashion, the blade is brought into contact with the skin, brought down, and this allows for a much, much closer, faster shave. So instead of having to stroke repeatedly the same area from all kinds of different angles, which is what is generally called grain shaving, in method shaving you do not do that. You just simply take down that form, you cut those lines on the form, and you get closer by trenching the blade as you're cutting. In traditional brush shaving, the technique is completely different. Grain shaving is generally used where you cut from all kinds of different directions, and in the hope that you're going to clear that beard buttress that you're trying to eliminate by cutting it in all kinds of different angles. The problem with that is that every time you cut a different pattern or different line into your beard, it's there to meet you the next day. So the more lines, the more patterns you cut into your beard, the more of a crisscross pattern, the more of a crazy quilt pattern you create in the beard, the more difficult it becomes over time to cut. In method shaving, you simply reduce on the form line. So on your first form line, you take down on a north-south straight tangent, you just take down, and to achieve that closeness factor, you simply pitch the blade forward. But it is imperative to understand that just because you're cutting a form does not mean you can trench the blade. You must use my water-based media to do that. For your own safety, you do not want to attempt to do this with a traditional potted paste and a shaving brush. It's not safe to do, and I really strongly advise all of you out there not to do it. That doesn't mean that you can't get a good shave with a potted paste. You can get a fine shave, but you cannot get that close trenching effect of the steel blade without assuming considerable risk of getting cut or certainly getting badly burned by the blade.